Hey, what's up guys? Austin Devine back here with my next video. I mentioned that I wanted to give you guys an update on my training for the New York City Marathon. And so that's what I wanted to take today's video to do, give you a little overview of how things have gone so far and where I'm at with my training. So officially, I think we're about 8 weeks out from the marathon, and it is on November 2nd. 2025 in New York City. That's a Sunday, and it's going to be epic. To give a little overview, this is one of the premier marathons in the world, okay? And you start in Staten Island, and you run from Staten Island, and you're in Staten Island for 2 miles. Then you go into Brooklyn for about 12, 13 miles. And then from Brooklyn, you cross over to Queens, and you're in Queens for just a few miles. Then you go into Manhattan for, I think it's 4 miles. And then you're in the Bronx for 2 miles. And then you go back into Manhattan and end out the race at Central Park, which is pretty epic. And so I'm really excited. I've never ran 26.2 miles in my life. This is something I've never done. The most I've ever ran is about 16 miles in one shot. I've ran a few half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks. I've done that a lot. To give you a little, understanding of my running journey, I picked up running a couple years ago. And so far this year, I've ran about 500 miles. And we are 8 months into the year. So I don't know if that gives you a little bit of an idea of how much I run. And so, but here's a little update of where I've been, where I'm currently at, and where I'm trying to go. So right now, I'm running about somewhere in between 25 and 30 miles per week. I really need to get that number up to 35, 40 miles per week before I enter into what is called a taper. And a taper is where you have the peak of your training. And then when you taper, you start deloading and decreasing your training. So that way, when you come into the marathon, your legs and your body, they're fully fresh and ready to go on race day. Okay, so here's a little overview for a week of training in my life, specifically this past week. So Tuesday, so my last run last week was on Friday. That was my long run. I did 10 miles. It was great. I felt great. But then I did not run Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. Why is that? Well, Sunday night I traveled to Miami for some doctor's appointments. And since I was in Miami, running was not as accessible. However, on Tuesday morning, I had a doctor's appointment, and right after, I looked on my Google Maps and I saw that there was an LA Fitness about 0.1 miles away. And, being somebody who's totally blind, 0.1 miles, that's not very far at all. So I'm like, okay, hey, maybe I can just walk there. So what I did is I asked my wife, I called her up and I said, hey, can you look at my location? Tell me where this LA Fitness is, give me some verbal direction, and I want to walk over there. And so that's exactly what we did. She looked at my location, looked at where the LA Fitness was, gave me some verbal direction, and with some help, with some very helpful bystanders, I was able to get there. So Tuesday, I get to the gym. I ran about 3 miles on the treadmill, okay? Treadmill work is something that's very common in my running journey since I am blind. I'll be making a future video to show you some alternative methods I use to run on land as someone who is blind, because for someone who's blind, unfortunately, I can't just go over, throw my shoes on, and just go for a run right outside my door. I would love to do that, but I can't always do that. Why? Because if I just go out and run, aimlessly, I'm gonna get myself hurt, and it's gonna be tragic. So treadmill work is pretty big in my training. So Tuesday, 3 miles in Miami at LA Fitness. It was epic. For those of you guys who know Miami, I walked into LA Fitness, and it smelled like a bakery. And I asked the front desk lady, I said, why does it smell like a bakery in here? And she said, oh, we're cooking empanadas. And I'm like, okay, only in Miami are they cooking empanadas at the LA Fitness. So I thought that was really funny. Now, fast forward, Tuesday night, I traveled back to Atlanta. And on Wednesday morning, I had a friend come pick me up. And me and him, we went out to this place here in Northwest Atlanta called Kennesaw Mountain. And we ran some trails around the base of Kennesaw Mountain. and we put in about 5 miles of work. And that was a really awesome run. It felt great. My legs were turning over super well. We were crushing about a 9:45 per mile pace. And honestly, the run felt effortless. It felt pretty easy, except for the last mile, because the last mile was totally uphill. And in 1 mile, I think we gained, I don't know, I think it was like 150 or 200 feet in elevation in just that 1 mile. So for somebody who's used to running on roads, that's kind of a lot, okay? Fast forward to Thursday. Thursday, I went to the gym. I had a bit of a front-loaded day, meaning a lot of meetings early in the morning. Wasn't able to get to the gym early, and my wife and I, we also had a doctor's appointment. But Thursday, I was able to make it to the gym, and I put in another 3 miles on the treadmill, okay? So into Thursday, I've now put in about 11 miles of marathon training. And when it comes down to marathon training, a lot of it has to do with volume. Putting in a lot of miles, getting a lot of time on feet, and so that's what I'm trying to do. Going into Friday, I was gonna make my long run. Now, my long run this week was gonna be 12 miles, but things kind of fell through with a few commitments and things like that. So what I ended up doing is on Friday, I just ran an easy 6 miler, and it went really well. I went to a park here in Kennesaw, and there's a 1 mile loop you can run around the park. And a good friend of mine, we ran around it 6 times, and it was awesome. We had a great time. Now coming into my long run, Saturday. Okay, so since my long run couldn't be done on Friday, I had to push it to Saturday. And this week was 12 miles. And you know, I felt excited. I felt great about the run. However, I did go to the movies on Friday night to watch the new Conjuring movie. By the way, it wasn't very scary. Decent plot. Check it out. But on Friday night, I ate a lot of popcorn. I drank a little too much pineapple Fanta. Okay. So this 12-mile run was tough, to say the least. So I went out to a park. The runs that I tried to do on land instead of doing on the treadmill are my speed workouts and my long runs. And so since this was a long run, I had a couple friends come and help me run. And so what I did is I had one friend show up at 6:30 a.m. I ran 3 miles with him at about a 10-minute pace. And then I had another friend show up at around 7 a.m. and I ran 6 miles with him at about a 10-minute pace. And then to close out, I had another friend show up at the park at 8 a.m. and he closed out my run with me, and we finished out with 3 more miles, finishing out with 12 miles for the day for that long run. And if you add up all those miles, that's about 29 miles this week, which is epic. I'm honestly considering, I'm filming this on Saturday, the same day I did my long run. So honestly, I'm considering going out for 1 more mile to just shake out my legs, just to say I hit 30 miles this week. That is a huge milestone for me, guys. So I'm super pumped about that. But that's basically my training for the week. I'd say it was a fairly, I wouldn't say it was a hard week, but I will say my long run was a difficult long run. I mean, I was gassed after this long run. I was sweating a lot. It was very humid today in Georgia. And afterwards, I was drinking electrolytes like they were going out of style. I mean, it was incredible. Legs are sore, feet, ankles. I think I developed a little bit of a blister on my big toe. But this is all what's necessary to do for marathon prep. It's about time on feet, crushing the miles, getting in long runs, getting in some speed workouts. And, you know, I'm really hoping this all accumulates to me going to New York and putting in a really awesome effort for this marathon. My only goal, I have two kind of, well, number one goal in New York is, number one, run the marathon nonstop, okay? And number two, secondly, I would really love to run it in under 4 hours and 30 minutes. If I run it in under 4 hours and 30 minutes, I'm gonna be sitting at around, I don't know, 10-minute pace, 10-minute, 15-second per mile pace. That's my goal. That's what I'm shooting for. Go ahead and comment below. Let me know what your experiences have been like in running marathons, half marathons, or other fitness endeavors. Definitely drop a like, subscribe, and I'm looking forward to you guys tuning in to my next video update. See you guys soon.